This is the second live that we've done in this space, and it's good. So we're back here and we're doing another one. And today I want to talk to you about why our intuition, our innate intuition, might just be the thing that saves humanity or the human race. It's no surprise to anybody who's on the spiritual path that we live in a truly extraordinary age, and it's going to require a different set of skills and a different approach to our reality in order to move into a new paradigm as we go forward. If we go forward. So I have a lot of optimism about the future of our planet and the future of in our collective consciousness, because I know that the true nature of what we are here to do is to remember ourselves as God, or the infinite unlimited consciousness. But why does intuition matter in this conversation? Why would intuition be the way that we have any impact on changing the world for anybody? And I want to break that down, because I think very often we can think of developing our intuition as a fairly selfish thing. So we develop our intuition as a way to just kind of get more of that psychic skill for ourselves, and it might make us better in our service if we're on the path of sacred service. If we use our intuition, that it might make us better and more successful than someone else, and we might be able to serve people better. But I want to zoom out on that, because in fact the impact of awakening and living our intuition is so much bigger and broader and more powerful than just up-leveling a specific set of psychic skills. And when we start thinking about intuition in this way, for me it becomes something even bigger. And I call that applied intuition or intuitive intelligence. And that's where we've stepped out of the paradigm of thinking of how can our intuition get us something? How can we get more clients, or how can we get, more answers to our own personal questions? And actually, how may I be of service in a really big way for all of humanity? Most of the people I meet who are on the spiritual path are those who are deep into their spirituality, those who I would call mystics, are wanting to contribute something far bigger than their own personal gain. They want to bring something to the world that can be a balm for the suffering that they see around them, or may in fact change the course of human life. And so when we're thinking about intuition in that way, why intuition can be such a force for good on a global and even cosmic scale is this. Intuition can only be truly activated when we have found or leaned into our spiritual self-esteem. Our spiritual self-esteem is that which allows us to remember that we are God, or that we are unlimited consciousness. So my very definition of spiritual self-esteem is that we have remembered what we truly are. We've changed our perception of ourselves. We've put down our low self-esteem, and we've taken up the offer that's continually being extended to us to remind us of our God nature, that we are that fabric, the very fabric that the cosmos was made from, is what we are also. And so when you have made the choice to take up your spiritual self-esteem, and that's a choice you have to make every damn day, that's a choice that you have to make in the face of a world that's going to try and tell you that you're ordinary and that your life is meant to be dull and mundane and that you don't have any right to think of yourself as God. When you've put all of that down, other people's expectations, other people's perceptions of you, you're taking up your spiritual self-esteem. And it's only through the acts of devotion and meeting our fear every damn day that we're going to be able to access that spiritual self-esteem. Imagine then that everybody, or a lot of people, decide that their highest purpose is to think better of themselves, to change their mind about themselves, to perceive themselves as God perceives them, and to marry their vision for their life with that much bigger perception of self. Already we're going to see an epic shift in the way that we make choices about our life, how we interact with others. We'll put down our belief that it's okay for us to have while others go without. We'll put down all of our doubt. We'll put down all of our self-loathing in order to show up as God sees us. And so we've already, just by making that first step towards our spiritual self-esteem, we've already created a better reality for those around us and for ourselves. But that's not where it ends, because of course spiritual self-esteem, or another way of putting that is spiritual fierceness, is turning up to your devotion, meeting your fear, and remembering that you're God, so that you have that sacred communion. This is where intuition gets really exciting. So it's not a sometimes there and sometimes not there. You open a portal or a gateway between you and the one mind. You can think of this as the field or the matrix or the God mind, and that doesn't shut down, because spiritual self-esteem is the foundation upon which your intuition is built. So you've moved very powerfully out of intuition is based on, oh my God, am I right? I don't know if I can trust my intuition, because you've placed your self-esteem, your spiritual self-esteem, remembering that means that I know that I am God. Even if I have bad days, I don't give up that belief. And you've put that at the foundation of your intuition. So this gateway or this portal opens, and through that you are suddenly at one with that infinite one mind. And what is intuition if not the language of the infinite communing with you and speaking with you and sharing what it contains, which by the way is everything. So all that ever was and ever will be is contained within that one mind. It can't be any other way. There is nothing outside of that one mind. This is the first Hermetic law. And you have removed the barriers between you and that one mind. The barriers being fear. That fear is always going to be the barrier. And the fear that I am not good enough is the biggest barrier between us and our ability to trust, know, and act upon our intuition. So we've placed spiritual self-esteem at the center of our being. We keep up our devotion, we keep up our practices of meeting our fear, and our intuition just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And eventually we're going to move into a state where we don't recognize separation. Now, this may take all of our lifetimes, and it may be that some moments it occurs and then we fall back into the dream for a moment. But we've had enough of an access to what it's like to be part of that we can't forget it, and our souls will keep yearning to get back into that place. And so now we are removing the idea of separation. The idea of separation is the single greatest cause of harm for us as a collective, because whilst that idea of separation being real and true exists, then we will take and make choices that are going to cause harm both at the individual and global level. When we have overcome that belief in separation, we literally recognize that we are all existing in that field of consciousness that we are all part of, with no separation. This is simply the illusion. Then what we are doing to ourselves or to another, we are doing to ourselves, and what we're doing to ourselves, we're doing to the other. And there's nothing that is happening in isolation, not even our beliefs. So we know from quantum physics, from the observer effect, that when we put our thoughts upon something, we collapse the wave function and we bring that into matter through fifth dimension into third dimension through the bridge of fourth dimension, and we bring reality into being by collapsing all other possibilities. So you understand so much why then being able to meet your fear and release it before you start building a reality upon it literally is vital to not only your survival but the collective survival, that we have learned how to train our consciousness not just to follow every random thought, but that we place our thoughts upon what we want with an absolute certainty that we are the creator of that reality, not just for ourselves individually, but for all. Would that change your mind about yourself if you recognize that your actions were not happening in a vacuum, but that your actions are not simply going to affect you and those people around you, but that you are part of the collective mind, the one mind of God? And that means that you are both creating, because as God, you are a creator, but you're also destroying in equal measure, until you become aware of how your consciousness functions. So yes, the putting down of the belief in separation, as Jade says, yes, there is no separation. It is our freedom, and it's also the beginning of taking personal responsibility for the collective state of the world, that we can't act or think any longer that we act in isolation. So all of this is a very brief and beautiful introduction to understanding the true nature of the laws of intuition and the functioning of the cosmos and our role in that intuition cannot be attained in a vacuum, that the desire to build our intuition, it comes with a great sense of responsibility, and that responsibility responsibility means that we're increasing our awareness of our power. But of course, to increase your awareness of your power means that you have to be willing to then take responsibility for that power. A lot of people will look away at this point and say, no, I just want to know how to read tarot cards, or I want to be able to predict someone's future, or I want to know who my next boyfriend's going to be. And that's not who I'm speaking to, obviously, because this whole live is about the idea that our intuition might just be the thing that saves humanity. And I don't think that that's too big a thing to say, because once you've overcome that belief in separation by building the muscle of your spiritual self-esteem, and you've opened to the intuitive, open to your intuition, and therefore you're conversant with the infinite, you no longer want to cause harm. You no longer can cause harm. It would be physically painful for you to engage in thoughts, behaviors, and actions that could cause harm to another. And so collectively then consciousness raises. Everyone gets an upgrade, because not all 7 billion of us need to awaken, but we do need to reach a tipping point where enough people are willing to recognize that they are not acting in isolation. So from that space, when we operate from that one mind, we are operating from God consciousness. You can think of this as your higher self. Your higher self, by its very name, is doing better, making better choices than your lower ego self, which is self-motivated and will continue to make choices that are based on getting its own needs met. If we'd been raised in a different way, we would perhaps not have such a big problem with overcoming our belief in separation, or putting down our desire to own, possess, to have, even if the cost is very, very high for another. So I don't have any doubt that when we as a collective begin to privilege the function of intuition and truly understand the laws of the cosmos, we will no longer continue to cause harm to Mother Earth and to ourselves and to our communities. We will take such personal responsibility for the care of all, because we recognize I am that. There is nothing that is not me. So that's what I want to share with you today. Thank you so much for those of you who've joined me live. So lovely to see you, my darling Jade. And if you have any questions or are keen to go further and deeper down this rabbit hole, please join me for my free live training. I'll make sure I share the link. It's happening on the 20th of August. It's basically this, but in a bigger scale. We're going to look at the 3 immutable laws, and we're going to really unpack them. We're going to understand how intuition functions inside of these cosmic laws, and how we can move into right relationship with what we truly are, which is God. Have a beautiful day.